Afternoon, everyone. I am trying to get a quick overnight camp in. I just got my DSLR camera in the mail and got the Rode mic with the dead cat. So I'm going up here to the top of the ridge on my family's farm. The only problem is it's a little bit, there's a lot of leaves, more leaves than the last time I came up through here, and of course how memory is on things like that. So what I'm going to do is, rather than kill myself, I'm going to go ahead and take two trips. I'm going to do my cooler with my food and the tripod and a couple of other things, and then I'll come back down for the backpack itself, which has got my tent, sleeping bag, etc. Okay, check back in just a minute. Hey ho, everyone. Well, I'm just about to make it to the very top of the hill, and then I've got 100 more yards, maybe 200 yards to go before I reach to the campsite. But it's pretty tough right now. I shed my hoodie, hat, sunglasses, everything else. So when I get up to camp and I get a little more situated, bugs are already out. I'll come back and film a bit more. Okay, that's where I just came from, and now I have to decide whether to go up to the top of that little rise right there, or or up there. I know there's a clearing a couple hundred yards up, so I think that's where I'm going to do the camp. So now it's time to go back, get the gear or my backpack, and make it back up here. Check back in a minute. Made it to the top. I'm still alive, haven't fallen, tripped a couple of times, but that's only because of that bad left leg of mine, left side. But now it's just a matter of finding a good place to camp, to set up my tent. And I'm also out scouting around places that I could do a semi-permanent shelter, because I'd really love for my my niece and nephews to have a chance to come out here and enjoy this. But I think right about where I'm at seems like a pretty good place for to set the tent up. I'll here in a minute I'll show a little bit more footage. Yeah, the goal tonight, as I was saying, is not to really do any major bushcraft techniques or practice anything like that. Tonight is basically coming out and just enjoying a night out in the outdoors. And like I mentioned earlier, this is the first time I've actually would be out by myself solo since Ronald Reagan was in office. Doesn't seem like that long. And I'm using the GoPro, and I'm also using the DSLR that I just bought. The microphone and the dead cat came yesterday, so I'm going to go ahead and try to test those out tonight. And like I said, on the GoPro footage, it's kind of a learning curve tonight. I'm going to see how everything works out and go from there. But I'll go ahead and pan around, and that way you can kind of see where I'm at this evening. Trying to decide whether I want to camp on this side of the mountain or straight down there, and then up that little knob is another area. But I think I've already got everything over here, so I'll probably go ahead and camp out here on this side and figure out the GoPro, or not the GoPro, but the DSLR. It's a Canon T5i, or no, I'm sorry, it's a T4i that I was lucky to get from a good guy up in Kentucky on eBay. So yeah, we're going to go from there. I'll be back. It's pretty windy up here. I'd be kind of worried about trying to set up a campfire up here. So I might need to find some place that's a little bit out of the wind, or sheltered from the wind. So yeah, I'll have to look a little bit more before I actually set up the tent. But anyway, I did not bring a piece of plastic, but what I did bring, and it's not going to rain, it's not calling for rain, thankfully. So what I'll use for a ground sheet for my tent is this little bitty, I think I was like, I don't know, 12 bucks. It's a tarp. 5x7, and I think it's an outdoor products ground sheet or tarp. And if it were to rain or something like that, you know, got it covered. We're good to go. And I'm going to set it up right here. If the wind quit blowing, that would be super fantastic. Let's see how this goes right here. I cleaned out a little bit of an area here. We'll see how all of this works. Hopefully I got all the pokey things out of the way. And there goes the, I'm going to have to get something to lay on that so it won't blow away from me. I'm trying to get shot set up. Yeah, aggravating. Okay. Yeah. Now if you see me stumbling, it's not because I've been drinking liquor or anything like that. As I've talked about before on my other prior videos, I have a loss of tactile sensation, which is basically, you know, tactile is just a fancy word for feeling. I don't have a lot of feeling anymore on this left side, and because of that, the left side droops down, or the left foot kind of droops, and the toe wants to push down like that anytime it's under any kind of load. But what are you going to do? It's a permanent side effect of all the surgeries that I've had, and you know, it could be a lot worse. I heard about someone just a couple of days ago that had a brain tumor, and they can't walk anymore, they can't speak anymore. So I don't have a lot of room to complain. I mean, I could bitch, and I do bitch sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I don't, because I do. I do complain sometimes. As I've said before, when I try to put my shoes on. Let's see if I can get this in here a little bit better. I'm trying to do it all at one time, and I'll have to edit some, of course. But there we go. That wind will not stop. I'm telling you what's the truth. And it is starting to get a little chilly. I think the weather forecast is going to be 30, like I said, 34 tonight. So that's 34 degrees Fahrenheit. So not a problem at all. And that's why I didn't bring out my Snug Pack 0 degree Fahrenheit bag. All right. Well, I was able to get that tent set up. Looks good. Actually, looks really bright out here, but you would never be able to tell it because it is pretty dark already. I know now what the other guys, Canadian guys, Luke from the Outdoor Gear Review, and all the videos, or the YouTube channels, I should say, all those guys are always talking about. It always looks brighter, and it's still, the wind is still blowing, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a campfire cooking or a campfire or not. But right now, while it's still got a little bit of daylight, I'm going to go ahead and pull all of my my gear right over there, and I'm going to put it into my tent and get that out of the way. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to need those tie-outs tonight. The wind's not that bad, to be honest. It's really not that bad. But I don't know if we can look at that. That is so cool. Let's see if we can pan us around here a little bit. That's amazing. Warm weather, summer is on or spring is on the way. Anymore though, as you get older, it's just it's warm, cold, just like the yin and yang of life. And that goes into what I was. Well, I'll talk about that maybe tonight or tomorrow regarding my the channel. My friend Kristen designed that logo, and it's got 2 hiking poles to indicate, the RTL, reason to live outdoor, or reason to live adventures. Means getting outdoors, enjoying the life, and the 2 trekking poles. What I use now, what a lot of people use to camp. So yeah. And Kristen also is the one that said, hey, why don't you use gray, because gray is the color for people with brain tumors. And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Super idea. Let's see if I can get, man, that thing is super stiff. Okay, I'm still on that same beer that I was working on a little while ago. I had to stop, like I said, I did stop. Whoa, crap. Watch out for the Sam's Club chair. It sank right into the ground and spilled me over. All right, then. That's pretty sad. And so that's still one beer. One solitary beer that I'm on. So I think next camp chair that I'm going to buy is the one that I've seen advertised on Amazon and eBay with the larger footprint, so they don't sink down into mud or sand. So yeah, starting to get a little chilly out this evening, and that wind, I just may not be able to have that campfire tonight. So if that's true, what I'll do is I'll rummage around in my backpack, get the twig stove out, and I have a grill. I'll put that on the grill. It's not really the way I wanted to cook dinner, but I brought 2 pretty good sized pork chops, a potato. I don't know how that's going to work out, but it may stop. The wind may abate a little bit later, but we'll see how that goes. But for the moment, I'm going to enjoy this beer, and then I'm going to put my gear into the tent and go from there. I'm just enjoying the evening. So many times that I wanted to go out by myself and camp, and not that I'm a super popular person or anything like that. I just had a good friend of mine, Ted. He was what I would consider a senpai. In Japanese, or in Japan, the senpai-kohai relationship. Senpai is the older person, the teacher, the mentor, and the kohai is the junior. And so he's about 12, 13 years older than I am, and he used to be the president of the local grotto club, and we went caving. He used to teach me knots. Some of them I used to have a hard time with. The simple knot, like the taut line hitch, I used to have a hard time with that. And if you ever need a way to remember that, is I would recommend watching Joe Robinette and his tutorials, because he's got that great catch line or mantra: 2 on the inside, 1 on the outside. And that's how I remember to continue. That's how I would forget, and I'd go, man, this is such a simple knot. 2 on the inside, 1 on the outside. And I'm not stealing that from you, Joe. I've been watching your videos. Like I said, I first started watching Martin, the older guy, and North Woodsman 1, I think is the name of the channel. And then, excuse me, and then I started watching Joe Robinette, his solo overnight in a winter storm, which is a little over a year ago now. And that got me into watching bushcraft videos and thinking that, wow, this is something that I enjoy. And the tumor had kind of not necessarily robbed me of that, but robbed me of a lot of the joy of doing those things. You know, when you're kind of the saying goes, high speed, low drag, and I had great balance, which I'd worked on all my life, and then to have it taken away in a surgeon's scalpel in the course of a few hours instead of a course of a lifetime, plus my memory, all of that kind of got shot to hell. And so, you know, sometimes I get aggravated, get pissed about it,
But like I said earlier, it could be a lot worse. At least I'm not in a wheelchair. I originally was in a wheelchair, and I remember my doctor, Dr. Priputnowitz at Blue Ridge Associates. I was a 50-50 chance that I ever walk again. And there goes a shout out to my friend Ty. She used to date years and years ago Dr. Priputnowitz, and I went to high school with both of them. And she came in, saw me, and there was a little question about the doctor that I was seeing at the time. And so she asked David to come in and take a look at my case, and from there, everything seemed to fall into place. He did the surgery. Unfortunately, a few weeks later, about three weeks later, when I came back to have the staples removed, I don't know what happened. If maybe the staple remover was not properly sanitized in an autoclave, I don't know what happened, but I got MRSA, and so I lost a portion of my skull. And so, just like Cousin Eddie on the vacation movies, the right side of my skull is fake. So, but anyway, I'm gonna quit rambling right now, and it's really dark out right now, so I've got to get my gear put into the tent, get my headlamp out, and decide what I'm going to do about this.
Okay, everyone, as you can see, I am starting to set up my tent, or the tent is set up, but I've still got to set up the sleeping pad, blow up the pillow, and do a couple of other chores, and then I got to change out the battery in the DSLR. It died, or it's almost dead, so I brought 3 batteries, and I'll change that out here in just a second. I got to set up as soon as I set up the sleeping bag, sleeping pad, pillow, etc., I'll come back on and show another little clip. I found the culprit of why I was falling over last night, or yesterday evening. It seems, let's make that out or not, that you can see there are large nubs. Everyone that has camp chairs knows about this problem, and a nub there. This one does not, and it was sinking in and spilling me over. So looks like I'm going to have to get another one, a better one. As I mentioned, I think I mentioned it last night about seeing one on eBay, and it's on my watch list. It's got the large bulbous bottoms, so that way it doesn't sink in sand or dirt. Okay, I think I'm going to have a cup of coffee. Got my twig stove still set up. I should have brought my sit pad so I wouldn't get my knee dirty, but that's okay. Alright, let's see. I could actually use my canteen cover here. There we go. It works. Okay. I'm going to light this hexamine cube and boil up some water. Maybe it'll start, maybe it won't. In the end, it doesn't really matter. That was on this morning. Evidently the emergency radio that I brought out with me to listen to last night. There it goes. Evidently it was on, the alarm setting was on. So at about 6 o'clock this morning, the thing went off and scared the crap out of me. Needless to say, I was out of the tent pretty quick looking around, but that was not fun. Yeah, we'll go with the big cup of coffee. Big cup of Java. Yeah, maybe just a little bit more. So, dun, dun, dun. Whoop, crap. Party foul. Party foul. Party foul. Let's see. Might be better like that. No, that might work better. Might work better. Yeah, okay, well that's boiling up. I always do it. And actually I didn't even need my twig stove. I forgot that this cooking set comes with its own little twig stove. Nito Mosquito. Let's see. And there's the lid. Rotty then. Okay, well that's cooking up. I'm not going to sit here and film that. I'll come back to it when it's boiling. In the meantime, I'm going to go and start rolling up my my sleeping pad, my nice REI sleeping pad with a little bit of insulation. I think I'm going to try to go upgrade to the Thermarest because it's a little bit wider. That REI is nice, but it seemed that I kept rolling off throughout the night. So it's only the second time I've used it. So I'll keep it, and it might come in. It may eventually become an emergency or a loaner sleeping pad if I get the Thermarest X-Therm. That's what it is. Okay, I'm going to shut it off. I'll be back in a minute. So I definitely believe that with a little work and a little innovation, this could be a fun channel to hang out. And over the summer, we're going to try to do some crazy things. I'm seriously looking at the skydiving thing in Knoxville, Tennessee. But I'll check. Well, let's check on the coffee real quick or the water. It's starting to boil, and I have an extra couple of hexamine. Let's see. What are we gonna have? What are we having today? Whoa! 2 Taster's Choice, or as I've heard said from Luke in the Outdoor Gear Review, Taster's Nasty. But I also have. I thought I brought something else. I did. This is Caffè Bustelo. Caffè Bustelo. Would you like a caffè? Caffè? Caffè Bustelo. Espresso instant coffee. Why do I sound like a bad impression of Rob Schneider doing an Italian guy? Alright, I can't wait any longer. That's getting pretty. Yeah, still burning pretty good. I'll give it just another minute. I'm going to go ahead and say that is done, because I am ready for the cup of coffee. And I found something earlier. I think it's a s'mores cake. So I need another cup of coffee. I'll have it. Alright, gotta keep all the trash separate. I gotta find my trash bag. It's somewhere in my backpack. I don't have anything to stir it with. Well, we're in nature, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. Better get it out of my gimp hand, or it will, or my bad hand I should say, or it'll spill it, and that's no lie. It's done it a couple of times. So cheers, as the Canadians and my English and Australian friends say. That's a little weak. That's a little, I'm tempted. I should go ahead and just come on, do it. Do it. I will do it. I'm going to mix in another kind while I'm get down. Okay, trash. Okay, so the Caffè Bustelo is going to be mixed in. Oop. To taste your choice. I heard something. It's private land, so there shouldn't be anyone up here. And if they are, they're trespassing. Alright, well, if I have another, I do have enough for another coffee, so I'm not going to be completely bummed out. Here we go. Alright, try this. Whew! That'll put hairs on your chest. Yes, indeed. Man. Yep, looks like it's going to be time for a new camp chair as well. New camp chair, and maybe later on down the road a different air mattress. I mean, I like the REI, but it's thin. You know, I'm a short, wide dude, so I need a wider, but I need a regular, wide. Okay, let me go find it. I think it's a s'mores, very fattening thing that I picked up. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. I've got a few more minutes of footage. Maybe as I'm going down the hill or mountain, whatever you want to call it. Of course, yeah, it was a mountain a long time ago. But anyway, weapons or tools of the trade for today was an SRK survival rescue knife. It's a cold steel, and there's actually a couple of reviews on it. I've had this since probably 2003 or 4. It's the issue knife for the Navy SEALs, and Survival Lily does a review on this knife, and she also links to another video that does just a bang up great job of testing a knife. So I highly recommend this. It feels great. You know, the only thing maybe is the rubber on the back you can't hammer, but other than that, I mean, that thing, you know, it's great. But anyway, feels great in my hand. You can throw it if you have to in an emergency. You can baton with this, so it's great. I love the sheath. It's got a number of different points, and it stays in without having to secure the belt loop right there on the back. Well, now there it went, but as you can see, it takes a lot of abuse. The other thing, don't worry about that. It didn't hurt it. The other thing that I never go into the woods without ever is this is a original Leatherman. Got it back in 1994, 5, something like that. And it's lasted me perfectly to this day. The only thing that has changed out is my friend Ted got me this this ballistic nylon pouch. Other than that, that's about it. Oh, and just as a spare, I do have, if I can get it out of my pocket, I love these True Spec 24/7 Expedition pants. These are great. And there and again, Luke with the Outdoor Gear Review does a fantastic review of them. I've had these and I have worn them almost, daily, literally daily. Just enough time to wash the pants, put them back on. I love the feel. I love the gusset. They stretch a little bit. You know, I've put on a few pounds, and that's another thing that I was talking about, trying to, New Year's resolutions. Up until this time last year, people were worried that I was anorexic looking. All those side effects from that last round of radiation and chemotherapy back in, I think it was 2014-15, permanently left me with no appetite, so I don't get hungry anymore. And I put on some weight. I started taking weight gainer to put on weight to help me out in case the round of radiation I finished up in September, this past September. I was worried that it was going to, if I was already 165, then it's going to make me even thinner. Well, ironically, it put the weight on, and now I'm having a hard time trying to get it off. I weighed in a couple of days ago at 201. That is right at my heaviest weight ever in my entire life. The heaviest weight was about 215, and that's when I came out of the hospital. I had just eaten and eaten and eaten and eaten in the hospital. So, and I didn't feel any guilt about it. I thought, I haven't eaten real food in three and a half weeks when I was in that chemically induced coma. So I just ate and ate and ate. And then after I got off, I was out of the hospital. I was on steroids and other things. But anyway, the other tool that I like to bring with me is a friend of mine, Brian, gave me this. And it's locked right now, of course. It's a liner lock, Special Operations Group, Flash 2. Very good feel. It's not heavy. I really like its serrated edge. I try to keep a good edge on it. So those were the three things that I brought. I did bring a hatchet. I didn't need it because, well, as you saw, it was so windy that I really didn't want to start a fire. If I'd have got here earlier, maybe I could have dug down and had a depressed fire pit, earthen fire pit. But I got out here late, and that kind of threw me off. Next time, I'm either going to come back here, or I'm going to. There's another couple of places on the property I would like to look at making a semi-permanent bushcraft shelter. I've said that a couple times before. One, it just seems like a rite of passage. Everybody that does the bushcraft kind of genre seems like they build one. And also, I'd like for my niece and my nephews, I said this earlier, I'd like for them to come out and enjoy the woods. But as I mentioned, this is a pretty, it's not that bad of a hike, but if you're not used to it, yeah, it's kind of rough. For me, it was hard to believe, like I mentioned, that I used to run this that was when I was 16, 17, and I didn't do it all the time. I wasn't daily. With a 30-pound Alice, it's like 30 to 40 pounds. I can't remember anymore. I just put a bunch of those old concrete weights in it and went with it, or ran with it. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish. The only thing I have left to do with camp is I have to take the tent down itself. Everything, sleeping pad, sleeping bag, all of that is already ready to go. So the next shot or the next thing will actually just be it'll just be me doing that classic walk toward the camera shot, and maybe the walk by the camera without acknowledging the camera, I know you're there, but I don't care. That kind of shot. That kind of shot is what I'm talking about. Okay, well, about time to go, man. I tell you what, it's warming up fast. I got cold. As I mentioned, I got cold last night. It wasn't anything that was, my core stayed warm, luckily. But where I forgot that Primloft extra layer, and I didn't bring my winter bag, my 0 degree Celsius or 0 degree Fahrenheit snug pack. I'll know next time. Anytime it gets below 30, hopefully I'll have a lighter, heavy bag, winter bag. That's the main reason why I did not bring the snug pack. It's a beast. It's heavy, and yeah, if I were in a lot, maybe by the end of the season when I'm in a lot better shape, hiking all the time. That's the goal, to lose this extra 20 pounds and to get back into tip-top shape. Like I like to work out 4 or 5 times a week if possible, but I've been eating. In the evenings I'll come in and fix dinner, and a big dinner for usually a couple of 2 or 3 people, and eat too late. That's one thing, and then of course the kind of food. So I'll take a tip from Sean James over on his channel and his My Self-Reliance channel to go try that keto diet. It sounds like a bodybuilder diet that I used to be on back in the as they say, the noughts, 2000, and then again in 2004. I've done a couple of those Body for Life challenges where you take the before photos and then you take the after photos. Look at me, I am so big and strong. But it's a 3-month program, and each time I've done that, I've went from maybe 180 to 200 pound bench press up to my max was around 3. Actually, it was right at 3, and I said, okay, that's it. I don't need to go any heavier, and that's about where I stayed for a number of years. And now I've just all these rounds of radiation and then the chemo and things like that. I just haven't pushed myself as hard, and I'm older now. I'm in my 40s, so I'm not trying to be, Arnold, super huge, or like the Van Damme. No, I just like doing, decent weights, and not killing myself. But I do need to get back into cardio more and more and more, just because after, just a little over a year that I've stopped smoking, and now I need to get that cardio back up to where it needs to be. But okay, enough rambling. I'm getting ready to do the tent, and then I'll do maybe one last little shot, maybe a panoramic shot. I did that. Well, no, I did that yesterday. See, that short-term memory. I need to keep a log. That would be a definite thing. That way, with my memory so bad, I could actually write things. Just keep a daily journal. And when I come out here, things that I want to try to practice or that I've watched or I've seen in a book. One of the things I'm going to be doing soon this summer that I've done once before is build a solar still, and also in survival classes or courses. One of the things is they always say take bandana, schmog, whatever, and that way in the mornings when there's dew on the ground you can run through the dew and collect water that way. So I think that might be something that I'll do, and a couple of other ideas. So I'll quit going. All right, back in a minute.